Hey y'all, and welcome to Bonner's Market, and welcome to my Dollar Tree sign challenge. This challenge is being hosted by Ellie over at DIY from House to Home and Favi by Creations by Favi, and I'm so honored that they chose me to join in this collaboration with them today. So let me just get right into my first DIY, my signs from Dollar Tree. These are two little signs that I got, I want to say back at Easter time. Yes, it was Easter. And you see three here, but I'm only going to do two. And these signs have paper on the top of them. So what I do, it's really easy to come off, is I just peel it off. I have found an easier way, and that's to wet it. If you wet it a little bit, it comes right off. I'm taking my Ivory chalk paint by Waverly, and I'm just going to give it a really good coat of chalk paint. I want to say I went over the top, the brown part, twice actually. And once I get that good and dry, I have printed out printables, free printables from Google, and I Googled free lavender flower printables, and it gave me some of the most beautiful, no, I said vintage lavender printables. That's what I did, vintage. And it gave me the most beautiful prints. So what I'm going to do with these prints is I'm going to take some water and I'm going to wet my fingers and I'm going to go all around the whole edge. Now, I'm not drenching the paper at all. You'll see me dipping my finger, going around the edge, dip my finger, go around the edge until like my fingers are dry, right? Once I do that, then my paper is soft enough. Well, actually, you know what? I'm getting ahead of myself. I take coffee. You can take any coffee that you have, wet your fingers, dip it down in the coffee, and just rub all around the edge of that paper. And it is going to give it the most beautiful, old, vintage, rustic, like worn, brown look. Like, I don't even know how to explain it. It just is going to look super old. And it also smells pretty good. I'm not at all a coffee drinker. I've never been a coffee drinker, but I've always loved the smell of it. I know that sounds so silly. But once I get the coffee on there, then I'm going to go back in and I'm going to start pinching around the edges. And I'm just going to pinch until it is pinched all the way around. And it's going to look just like it's kind of been old and worn and torn, maybe burned a little bit. And I used sticker paper by accident. I thought I was printing it on regular paper, but it was sticker paper, and it actually worked out to my advantage. Now you see me sticking my finger down in that coffee and rubbing it all over the sign itself to give it an old, worn look. And I'm telling you, you cannot beat coffee for this staining effect. It is beautiful. It's perfect. And it could not be easier. I would recommend using gloves, though, if you don't want your fingers brown, because it took a day or two to wear off of my fingers. But that's literally all there was in making it vintage looking. And then you see me doing the same thing to the other one. I'm not going to do that really slow because you just saw me do it. And then I'm going to wipe off, once it's completely dry, I take a dry rag and I just wipe it off and wipe off all the coffee grounds, and it looks like you see it looking in the paper here. Now I'm just showing you what I'm going to use to make my little, oh gosh, what are they called? Swags for the top. But I'm also taking Mod Podge and going across the whole entire picture. That is going to seal my pictures, and it's also going to give them both the same sort of finish. These are lavender picks that you can get from the Dollar Tree pretty much all the time, year round. I see them at all the Dollar Trees. That's also the Dollar Tree's lace ribbon. And I'm just going to tie some twine right around the middle of that ribbon, and it makes the prettiest little bow that you've ever seen. Then once I get that done, I'm going to put it right in the middle of my swag. Now, I like to use those zip ties to make my swags. It keeps them together with one shot, and it could not be easier. And then I'm just going to glue it. If you noticed, I put it upside down on this thing. But it's okay because I'm not going to hang them on the wall. I'm actually going to make them to stand up on a shelf. But I thought it was funny that I did it upside down. Now, this is just me doing the other swag. I'm not going to slow it down because you just saw me make the first one. And then I'm going to take some of that same twine, wrap it around the bottom, I think 4 or 5 times each, and just kind of give it a little bit more texture and, you know, as they say, dimension, depth and dimension. But I do like the twine being wrapped around the picture. I do think it adds more to it. And then I'm going to take these Jenga blocks or tumbling tower blocks or whatever you want to call them from the Dollar Tree. I get the boxes that are the extra big boxes. You get so many more in those boxes. And then I'm just going to glue 2 to the back of each sign, and it'll stand right up. And they make the cutest little signs that you've ever seen. And I love the way these turned out. I cannot wait to see what you think of these and read what you think of these down in the comment section below. What do you think about these pictures? Do you think they look old and rustic and worn? And do you love them as much as I do? Or is it kind of just not your style? I thought I would do something right now that's not fall, not Halloween, and even some of the other creators are getting into Christmas, and that's fine. You know, I've been doing some fall things too. I'm not against it, but I was ready to see something different, and I just thought I would do something different now than a holiday themed video. Now this is a tag sign that you can get from the Dollar Tree, and again, got these back at Easter time. I'm cleaning up 2 of them, but I'm only going to use 1, and it's the same thing. Peel the paper off and you have a beautiful clean slate. I'm going to go back in with that ivory paint, and I'm going to give it a really good coat of paint. You can see there where the tag sign is still a little bit wet on the bottom. It is so much easier to clean off that paper when it's wet, I'm telling you. Now, not soaked and drenched, but again, just damp. This is the picture that I used for this one, and I think it's gorgeous. And all I'm going to do now, that's a regular piece of paper like I thought the other one was. I'm going to wet around the edges, then I'm going to tear it, and then I'm going to take my coffee and stain it all up. And then again, I'm going to take my fingers, wet it, and just stain that little tag sign all up. And now I don't show you here, but when it dries, like I said, set it to the side and let it completely dry. And when it's dry, take a dry rag and just wipe it right off. And it is so beautiful the way it turns out. I'm using the same lavender picks that you can get from the Dollar Tree because I wanted everything to be matchy-matchy, and put my little zip tie up there, making the swag for the top. I'm going to use the same ribbon, the same lace ribbon, and the same twine. And I'm going to make a cute little bow for the top. And I'm going to get it all glued down. And then I'm just going to make a little hanger for the back. Or no, I'm going around the bottom of this picture like I did the other 2 pictures. Because like I said, I wanted it all to match. Then I'm going to make a lace hanger with this lace ribbon. I figured it would be cuter than twine to just add a little piece of ribbon to the top to make the hanger with. And that's how it turned out. And I love it. I think it's beautiful, and it matches those other 2 pictures so perfectly. So let me know down in the comments below what you think about this tag sign and the way it turned out. Now, that is not where it's going to hang. It's actually hanging in my bathroom, but I just hung it right there just to kind of do a little short video and show you what it looks like. But look at that. The sign itself, not the picture, but well, yeah, look around the edge of the picture too. Look how worn and old that looks. And look how that coffee just stained up that tag sign and makes it look old and vintage and just rustic looking. I love that effect that coffee gives to this stuff. Now, on my DIY number 3, I'm not going to use the coffee stain, but I'm going to use the same lavender prints. And I'm just taking 2 picture frames that you can get from the Dollar Tree, and some of that cork, you know, those sheets of cork that you can get. I'm going to take my picture frames and I'm going to disassemble them. Disassemble? Oh, Lord, I don't even know what I'm saying. Then I'm going to take my cork and I'm going to cut out around the picture, and I don't know if you've ever used it before, but it's sticky on the back. And you just peel off the back and put it right down on the top of the back of your picture frame. Once I did that, I did not use the coffee and stuff on this one. I'm going to take ivory chalk paint. I'm going to paint my picture frames, but first, oh no, I'm going to go ahead and do that now. I'm sorry. I'm getting ahead of myself again. I'm going to take ivory chalk paint and give it a couple of good coats of the ivory chalk paint. Now I'm going to Mod Podge the pictures on top of the cork. And once I get them done and on there, then I'm going to go back over it like I always do and just Mod Podge the whole thing, seal it in, and give it all the same effect as far as, you know, the same finish. Once those are good and dry, it's as simple as putting my frame back on. But before I put my frame back on, I wasn't real happy with just the ivory. So I wanted to do something a little bit different to the frame. So I decided to get 2 or 3 other colors and just sort of, I don't even know what you call it, just dry brushed several different colors on it to get this effect. So the colors that I used were Lord have mercy, my tongue's tied. Waverly chalk paint in the color moss, and then the ivory and truffle. And as you see, I just keep painting and painting until I like the effect that it got. That's me looking at the frames and going, oh, you know what? I said moss, it's celery. I'm sorry. It's celery. Me looking at the frames and going, no, I don't like the way that ivory looks. So I go in with the celery. Now I'm going to go in with the truffle and just sort of heavily dry brush it all around. Then I'm going to go back in with the ivory and brush over the top of that until I just get a look like I want. So instead of taking the pictures and de-stressing them, distressing them. I don't know why I can't think today. Have you ever had a day where you literally cannot get a thought out? That's me today. I'm so sorry. But now I'm taking that ivory paint and I'm just kind of going around the frame, and I'm happy with it now. So I put my glass back in, put my pictures back in, and they're ready to hang. And I love the way these frames turned out. I cannot wait for you to tell me what you think about the frames. Do you think they would have looked better all ivory, or maybe just left them celery and not added the other paint? But I wanted to stress it in some sort of way so that it would match the other things that were distressed. But I love the way they turned out. So let me know down in the comments below what you think about them. But thank you for coming to my Dollar Tree sign challenge today. Thank you, Ellie from DIY from House to Home. And thank you, Favi from Creations by Favi, for allowing me to be part of this collaboration. As always, thank you for coming. Thank you for watching. Be blessed. Bye now.